Ready with me while I talk about my childhood nostalgic memories. I was homeschooled my whole life until going into the 6th grade. I grew up in a neighborhood full of kids and I lived in a cul-de-sac full of kids, so my whole upbringing I was surrounded by children, which was so good because I would have been really socially awkward if I didn't surround myself by kids as a homeschooler. There was about 10 or 12 of us, which were kind of into different categories. Most of them were like my age or a little bit younger, and then there was a group of like some older kids that were like 2 or 3 years older that were like my sister's friends. Every summer for 3 years, we did this really big play production. So cool, like even thinking about it, these 12-year-olds would come up with a whole script, dances, like singing, performances, and we would practice the whole summer until the very last week of summer. We would get everyone in the neighborhood to come to one of our houses and we would perform. There'd be like different props that people made, there'd be different backdrops that people were drawing. All the kids like from our neighborhood would all hold this production together. There's one girl who like choreographed the dances, and like one of them made the script, and like literally these kids were, I think we were like 12 and 13, and then I did it when I was like 8, 9, and 10, so they were like 10, 11, and 12 when they were doing this, which is just so crazy to think about. But it was also really stressful. Like I remember coming home crying a lot. But then I would go there the next day because that's where like all of my friends were, and we would just do it at my next door neighbor's house every single day, practicing the dances, practicing our lines, and just bringing it all together at the very end of the summer and performing in front of everyone. It was just so much fun. So like I said, there was like a group of younger kids, and it would be like me, 3 girls and 2 boys, and we played with each other every single day, and all of us were just so creative. And like I'm really grateful for the upbringing that I had because I'm a very like creative child, and I'm just glad that like I was able to express myself in the ways that I did growing up with no judgment, because I'm a nanny and I nanny these 2 kids and they have the best personalities ever, but then I think like they only have each other. They don't have really anyone else outside of school. So I'm just very grateful for like the neighborhood that I grew up in. Every single day we would play like a different imaginary game, like mom and kids and mom and dad, or like throw a wedding and like make a whole wedding, or do school, and like it was just so much fun. Like we really put like so much work into it, and we were just so extra. Like we would actually like do school. For school, the teacher would like dress like a teacher, and we would dress like students, and like we were just so like, it is just so cool to like look back on. This is also such like a random silly thing, but since I was the oldest, I like was losing my teeth the fastest, and this is so weird, but I was losing my teeth like the fastest, and so when the other kids were like losing their teeth, I was like the doctor or the dentist, and I would like pull their teeth. Not that sounds like such a scary thing, but like I was like comforting them, like we were comforting each other, and they like trusted me to do it, which is like so weird, but that's just like a random memory that popped up. Also, another like really specific one is like specifically in the summer, rainy days were always so fun. We would jump on the trampoline when it was like soaking wet, so it'd make the trampoline more bouncy, and like we'd just be soaking. And like I live in a cul-de-sac, so there was a bunch of different little like gravel where like there would be more water, and we would literally like swim in the gravel, which is so nasty. There was a ditch in my neighbor's backyard that was super long, and we literally slip and slide like in the ditch, which again is disgusting, but it was so much fun. I remember like we were going to each other's houses so early, so like all the parents had agreed like in the summertime that no one could go to each other's house until 10 a.m. So from 10 a.m. until like the street lights would turn off, we would just play. I might make like a whole separate video because like these are like my neighborhood friends I'm talking about, and then I have like a whole separate upbringing with all of like my homeschooled friends. Because since I was homeschooled, we did this thing called co-op, and it was basically like this once a week class that all the homeschooled kids would go and like take whatever subject the parent like was lacking in. So like for example, my mom's was science, so like I would go and take a science class, but I made a lot of friends, like homeschooled friends, then that I would play with, and I have like a whole upbringing with those people too. So if y'all want to hear about that, like I could totally share that as well. I also did a lot of things on my own. Like, yes, I had a lot of friends, but when I had like my alone time, like as a kid, I was so creative. Like I was always building or making something, like, you know, the little perler beads. I have like hundreds of those in a box, maybe like close to even 1,000. Like, I'm not even kidding. I would probably make like anywhere from 10 to 20 a day. My poor mom having to like iron them, and just sitting on the ground watching Teen Titans Go. Or I would write books. I used to write books all the time, like little storybooks. I don't know, I just love like how creative I was. I really need to like lock back in and get into that. I've like sometimes thought about writing children's books to this day, because I still feel like I have a pretty vivid imagination, but like my phone just distracts me so much. But anyways, if you want a part 2 on this, and just like a whole nother video on my homeschooling life, please let me know. Love y'all.